And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Tomorrow's flying weather, about what we've seen here for the past few days. A lot of IFR out over the Bering Sea, down to the Aleutians. Marginal VFR up in close to the South Yukon Delta coast here. But VFR Bristol Bay, the interior, possible marginal VFR Central Eastern Arctic coast, and some possible marginal VFR from Prince William Sound on up into the Talkeetnas. IFR east side of Kodiak Island, some IFR along the south coast of the Panhandle with better conditions over the inside waters. And for the afternoon on Friday, whatever forms low clouds tending to burn off toward the afternoon, but lingering along the coast here. Otherwise, VFR, North Gulf Coast, all the way up to the Arctic coast and the interior, and still a lot of IFR here out over the Bering Sea, but a little bit of improvement over the Aleutians with marginal VFR from the Alaska Peninsula, just about all the way out to Shemya and Attu. And then for Saturday morning, marginal VFR again, Central Eastern Arctic coast, possible, and big IFR area from the Chukchi Sea here all the way down through the Bering Strait to the Aleutians once again, although the eastern Aleutians, marginal VFR, a little bit of IFR here on the Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula. Kodiak Island, VFR, as well as the interior, North Gulf Coast. Marginal VFR for the southeast coast. And then for the afternoon, that area of IFR in close to the coast during the morning hours pulls well off the coast to back to the west for the afternoon. Good VFR over the inside waters. Possible lingering areas of marginal VFR, some low clouds possible anywhere along the outer coastline, especially up here towards Yakutat. But again, Kodiak Island all the way up to the Arctic coast, VFR, and then IFR for the Arctic Ocean through the Chukchi Sea, covering all of the Bering Sea now into the Aleutians and along the north side of the Alaska Peninsula. Passes for the Brooks Range and the Tupac-Kanatagan, VFR for the day on Friday. And the same forecast for the Alaska Range, Lake Clark, Merrill, rainy, windy, Mentasta and Isabel and Mentasta, all forecast to be VFR. Tanita, VFR. Portage, though, starting out marginal with the low clouds, maybe some fog early on, becoming VFR, sunshine through the afternoon. Chilkoot and White, same pattern, lower conditions early, better conditions later. And for the freezing levels, about 8,000 feet here over the interior, 6,000 feet Kodiak Island, Bristol Bay, Alaska Peninsula, and about 8,000 feet there over the southeast coast, as well as out here over the Aleutians. And for icing, possible areas of light icing there for the west central Aleutian areas, but nothing very significant at all. Just a thread out there. A better chance of some considerable moderate icing here in across the southeast coast, and lighter amounts up to about Yakutat and just to the west, and maybe some light icing over around Lake Iliamna over the southwest interior. And from there, looking at the jet stream, we've got low pressure here southwest of the Panhandle, so 65 knot winds at 33,000 feet here right off the coast, and then northwest winds at about 65 knots there for the Alaska Peninsula into the central Bering Sea, a little stronger just south of that low over the Russian Far East there, but not too strong at all actually for that elevation. And for 9,000 feet, light winds over the interior with high pressure, light winds over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians, and low pressure there, southern Gulf of Alaska, south to southeast winds 40 knots right across the Panhandle, and at 3,000 feet, 40 to 50 knot winds now, with the strongest winds right along the central coast of the southeast coastal areas there, and light over the interior, and some little bit of an increase in the winds here, but this mostly staying south of the Aleutians through tomorrow. So for turbulence-wise, throw in some occasional moderate turbulence here due to those stronger winds for the central coast of the Panhandle, and maybe some light to isolated moderate turbulence there, Fognak and the east side of Kodiak Island.